Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond, is here with me, Gautam Singhania. What an honor and pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to start off with your latest tweet about Malta and the drifting championship. First and foremost, I want you to explain what the sport is. I know you're deeply passionate about it and your conquests in it.
Well, drifting is a sport that actually started in Japan, and it really is a very dramatic looking sport where you have to drift the car, basically. But when you're doing a championship or an event, points are given on the basis of three criteria. One is the speed through the corner. Number two is the angle that you to go through the corner. And number three, the judges ask you to go close to certain cones, etc. So it's a combination of the three, and how close you are to the clipping point and at what speed, what angle. It's done under safe, controlled environments, but it's very dramatic to watch because there's lots of smoke and tire burn and stuff like that. So yeah, and you require a lot of car control because it's a balance of the steering and the power and the brakes and everything.
And your last victory is a very special one for you. Talk about that.
Well, Malta, I just started drifting, and Malta was having a championship. There was an amateur, so I just said, how do I get to the next level? So I really went to participate and just get some experience. I went. I think we did well. I think I won that event by 1 point. Which was close, but it was just, it was my good day, I think, and I got it right, and we were kissing the wall, like they say, if you see it on the video, right up on the wall at 45-degree angle, 50-degree angle. It was great.
I'm going to come to the business now. Wonderful. I mean, 90 years of Raymond. What a special celebration this is. Let's start with the name Raymond. I'm given to understand the history of that is the acquisition of a factory by your forefathers. I want all the listeners to understand that.
Well, this company used to be owned by Edward Sassoon, who pretty much owned half of Bombay, and in those days, like the Sassoon Dock, etc. And it was a small mill. Raymond was his nephew, and I think the company was named after his nephew. And I think that name, from being his nephew's name, became an iconic brand in this country. I think Raymond is today one of the top brands in this country across all product categories, certainly in the top 10. And I think the rest is history. We deliver quality, trust, and excellence in everything we do. And we just gone from milestone to milestone.
I'm going to come to another one of your pet passions, the Super Car Club. How long back does that go? Talk about the history of the club and what are the activities that you're proud of?
Well, the Supercar Club was formed about 7 years ago. The idea was very simple. It started with a small idea where we said, every time we go out for a drive, there's a huge gathering of people. They like to see the cars. They come along. I came upon a thought and I said, why not bring all the supercar owners out one day for the Mumbaikars? Why not for the city of Mumbai put together a show where everybody can come and marvel on these cars? And it started off in a very small way at Kalagoda, where we, I think, had 30, 40 cars. But the number of people that came out to see these cars, because no matter what age you are or where you come from, I think when you see these pieces of art, you just tend to smile. Kids want to see it, the adults want to see it. I once told one of my executives, I said, I'll send a car to Thana so that the kids can go in it. He said, sir, you'll be surprised that the adults will want to go in it first before the kids, because that's the passion. And then from there, it grew into a much bigger event. And I think if you saw the last couple of years, there are probably 1 million people on the streets out to watch it. This year it's on the 10th of Jan. Again, it's going to be a big show because it's back at the race course. So we started off with this mega show, which is once a year we put in a lot of effort for the people of Mumbai to see these cars, because I think these cars become aspirational and motivational, where people see them, they have a desire to buy them, and they work hard for it, and then one day they get it. Because even if you see Ferrari says we sell dreams, we don't sell cars, because every child had a poster of a Ferrari on his wall and said one day, maybe one day I'll get enough money to buy one. And then from there we moved on to, driver training programs. So we did lots of track days at the Booth International Circuit. And now we do these adventure holidays as part of the club. So we started off with our first one, which was Srinagar to Leh and Pangyong, where we took about 36 CEOs. We followed that up with the one that we went to Rajasthan, and now we got a big trip coming up from Kathmandu to Lhasa. That's again going to be one of our marquee trips. We've done driver training programs where we take people to Sweden to train them on ice. I'm also, I think I'm so passionate, I'm racing, so that's where this is going.
Also must be a wonderful medium or a platform for you to interact with other CEOs and exchange ideas while you're driving. It must be such a wonderful experience.
Yeah, so when you go on these trips, I think the objective is that you got CEOs from all over the world coming. So say for Kathmandu, Lhasa, I've got people coming from Switzerland, England, Dubai, South Africa, Malaysia, Hong Kong. So, it's a mixture of people. And then if you're going to spend 5 days with these people or 6 days with these people driving, you're continuously changing cars, you're sitting with somebody else, you're bound to strike up conversations. Last time in the Leh Ladakh trip, we managed to get a lot of local resources to come and talk to us, tell us about the history. So we were at Kargil and we stayed at this very small hotel, and Rashid Bhai was the owner of the hotel, spoke us through the whole Kargil war, and how, and to hear that firsthand is invaluable, because you're never going to do that on your own. And when you do it as a group, we take care of everything. We organize the cars, the service, the backup, the doctors, the hospitality, the food, the booze, everything. So, we went to a place called Khimsar Camp in Rajasthan. Just to go to that camp was magic. And there you were with 25 friends with the best food, the best booze. It's more than a holiday, it's an experience. And that's what this club is all about.
Chairman and Managing Director of Raymond is here with me, Gautam Singhania. I'm going to do a small rewind to 14 years ago when you took on the reins of being Chairman and Managing Director at Raymond. There was, at that time, a shift to just concentrating on the core businesses. And few of the allied businesses were shut down. Steel, for example, cement, for example. Were you involved in that completely? Was it a combined decision of you, the board, your dad? And what was the thinking behind that?
Well, I think we sold 3 businesses, cement, steel and filament, and I think each one was done for a different reason. But I think eventually at Raymond, everything is a combined decision. The board is fully involved, my father's fully involved, and we got to do what's best for the company. So we have stuck to our basics, which is textile and apparel, our lifestyle part of the business, which continues to grow, and I'm happy to say that we're the number 1 textile company in this country. So that's where we are.
Let's talk about what happened in 2011 in terms of the Super 250. A lot of people wouldn't understand what Super 250 is. Let's start by you explaining that and where it's really taken the wool business or garments to the next level.
Well, Raymond always has a philosophy that we'll make the best. Maybe a very small quantity, but the philosophy is very clear that we'll make the best. It started when my dad did the microlight flight in 1988, and we came out with the Super 120s at that time, and we said, let's call it microlight. It's just, a tribute to my father. And then we did the 130s and 40s and 50s, and as it got finer, and then basically the Super 250 is derived from the fineness of the wool that goes into it. And the difficulty is that you only get 1 bale of this super fine wool per year, maybe once in 2 years, depending on the climatic conditions. So this is 11.6 micron is the fineness of the wool. And just to put that in relation, your hair is about 35 microns. So it's 1/3 the fineness of your hair. And to get this wool is very, very difficult. It's very expensive. But the mandate at Raymond has always been very clear, we will buy it because we want to produce the best. The Super 250s, I'm proud to say we're the only company in the world that makes it.
Also merino, the wool. There was, I believe, in the history of Raymond, a point where it was actually known as Gopal merino. Would you describe that to us?
Well, maybe 3 decades ago, there was a desire by my uncle at that time that why can't India grow wool? And they had done a lot of work with the Australian government as to help India grow its economy to be able to grow fine wool. The Australian government was convinced at that time, and the then Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Fraser, especially let us export merino wool, which has never been allowed before, and I don't think ever again. And we started a farm here, crossbreeding Indian cattle with merino sheep, so that it had the qualities of the merino wool, but with the bloodline and the immunity system of the Indian cattle. Unfortunately, that project didn't work out for too long, but since my uncle Gopal Krishna Singhania had started it, they were called the Gopal Merinos. What actually happened from that was an offshoot was we started a cattle upgradation program, and my father runs that very passionately, where we started crossbreeding Indian cattle with Holstein Friesian cattle. And Indian cattle typically gives about 4 liters of milk a day, and the Holstein Friesian will go up to 40-50. And now with the artificial insemination program that we do, where we go to villages and artificially inseminate the cattle, so the next generation, with the balance of immunity, etc., the new generation Indian cattle is giving 20 liters of milk, which is fantastic upgradation for the farmer. The farmer who would only get 4 liters of milk is now getting 20 liters of milk. Helps him to get his daughter married, buy a house, whatever. Just economic development. And that has really made a difference. I think we've delivered over 1 million calves today.
I'm going to tell you about being really staggered at your drag racing skills when the back road, which is the reclamation stretch, which now leads up to the Sea Link, had first started. Hormaz had got me to MC a drag race there, and I saw you in action, drag racing, and you were just on fire. And there are quite a few records that are to your name. So talk about drag racing now that we've talked about drifting.
Well, drag racing is a different sport, and I'm competitive. I like to do all forms of motorsport. That time, that was, I think, really the only event on the link at that time. So whatever we had, we dragged it. Subsequently, I built a purpose-built drag racing car. On these roads, it's never going to be good to drive because you don't get the traction you need. But I've done a 9.2 on that car, which is very fast on the conditions that we're operating, because you have no grip, no glue, no gum on the start, no nothing. Having said that, I think if I had the right conditions here, that car would pull off a very low sevens, which is phenomenally fast.
In terms of the Buddh International Circuit, I mean, there have been a few records, you breaking your own records. So a bit about that circuit, a bit about you being in the Limca Book of Records.
Well, so the drag racing, I do hold the current record at 9.2, and I'm certain that I can go faster. It's just that there are no events, and my calendar is completely tied up with all sorts of racing. As far as the Buddh International is concerned, I don't know, at this age, I've decided to start racing again. And somebody told me, Gautam, why don't you get a car? Why don't you get started? Why don't you start moving? And we'll see what happens. And let's take it from there. Do a few track days. So I did my first track day at Rockingham with a ex-F1 driver and a A1 GP winner, Adam Carroll, who's very, very good, very talented. And subsequently, Adam went on to become my teammate in racing. And I think that the test at Rockingham went phenomenally well. I was surprised that I actually had the pace at this age. And then we said, let's, get the cars down to India and do some testing at BIC and see how we go. We started off at 2 minutes and 16 seconds and slowly edged our way. And the whole objective was just learn the car and the track and just slowly get better. We settled in about, the fastest I then went was 2 minutes and 2 minutes 0.55. And I was desperate to break the 2 minute barrier. I mean, we did everything possible. And I don't know what happened. We just, the last day, 6 days of testing, no tires left, no fuel left, nothing. So I started giving people some passenger rides, and some media was there, some friends were there. I just said this 2 minute barrier is impossible. It's just not going to happen, because I was at the limit. And psychologically, to break that 2 minute barrier was important to me. I don't know what happened towards the end. I just told the passengers, please get out of the car. Please get out of the car. I need to do what I need to do. And I told the technician, I said, give me 5 laps, right? I went and did 5 laps. I came back, by which point the brakes were pretty much gone. They were pretty much gone. The tires were gone. We had no stock, nothing. It was probably my last 5 laps, which should have completed 610 or 620 laps of testing at BIC. So we're at the fag end. I went out, I did 1, I did 2. I said, give me 5 more laps, just 5. And I went out, did 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th lap, I said, give it what you got. I came back, I saw 1:59.44. That was 1.1 seconds faster. And man, that was a feeling.
Since we're traversing through 90 years of Raymond, I've got to go into the 90s. I was in school, and I was just amazed to see what you did with Kama Sutra, the brand. Those were boring days where there was only a government condom called Nirod, and all of a sudden the advertising business, the mainstream condom business was just completely revolutionized by you. That has got to be one of the most successful phases of your career, right? Just talk about Kama Sutra, the campaign, the product itself, those years.
Well, in those days, you're right. Nirod was the only product, and we decided if you're going to get into sell condoms, then we need to do it right. We're not a company that's going to shy away from the truth and what needs to be done. We came across this name with our agency, and then we hit upon a brave wave. Let's get the best sex symbol, which was Pooja at that time. So I spoke to Pooja and I said, Pooja, will you do this campaign? And she said, you can't afford me. I said, tell me what you want. And to put things into perspective, models were paid 10,000 rupees in those days for an ad campaign. She said, I want 7 lakhs. So I said, yes. She didn't want to do the campaign, but when I said yes, she was stuck because she asked for a figure which was astronomical, and I said yes. Because we believed what she could do with this was phenomenal. I think the rest is history. I think Kama Sutra has become a huge brand. We're 24 years down the line now. And it's gone from condoms to deodorants to energy drinks, and it's grown as a company. It's always good to be associated with being able to create a brand. Brand takes a long time to create, but even Raymond, the complete man that we took up in the early 90s, I think it's now 24 years of it. We've stuck with it, and we've stuck with our beliefs that that's the right proposition. So if you find the right proposition and you believe in it, I think you can go really far.
What I love is the fact that, you say the complete man, and the Singhanias live that life. Let's talk about your dad now. I mean, again, what a legend, what an icon. Grown up with stories of him doing the microlight flight and then the hot air balloon. So, were you at ringside when these things were happening? The takeoff, the training, as little Gautam?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, my father was doing these things. I was ringside, and he's very brave to have done it. I think the microlight flight that he did from London to Delhi was extremely brave. It's a tough job. 22 days. That capsule was so small. There were real fears. Crossing the Mediterranean with a little shark repellent thing on his lap. Little did he know that it would probably last for maybe a minute, but he had the courage to do it. Then he did the round the world race, which he won, which was again a big feat. But I think the scariest was the balloon, because he was at an age where he was much, much older. I think it was about 9 years ago now. So he was about 65, 66 at that, or 67 at that time. And, the risks associated with it. A lot of things went wrong, but at the end, he won. So it was great.
Let's talk about sailing now. I mean, the names of your boats are quite quirky. Would you explain them and give us a few of those names?
Well, it's just, one of those things. You have a speedboat, and I think ours was the second speedboat that came, so it felt different. That was, maybe over a decade ago, so we named, I think we named it Octopussy and Thunderball and Moonraker, stuff like that.
You were a James Bond fan, or your dad?
Well, I like James Bond movies. They're good fun. They're entertaining.
But between driving and sailing, it's always driving for you, isn't it? Talk a bit about sailing. I mean, do you sail to Alibag and back? How much of sailing are you doing? Is there a yacht apart from the speedboats?
Yes, I mean, I like to spend some time on the boats. I don't get that much time because racing is really consuming bulk of my time, especially with the World Finals coming up in 10 days. I think that's where my focus is. So, yeah, like they say, you can always get some more time for the boat. You never find it.
And in terms of the finals coming up, what's your prep like? And where are the finals? Just go into the details of that.
So I'm racing in the Ferrari Challenge Cup. The finals are this year going to be in Abu Dhabi from the 2nd to the 6th of December. I've done some testing at Abu Dhabi, and I did the NGK racing event 2 weeks ago, which was good. I just mentally, it's a very, very competitive race. It's going to be a big grid, and I'm, really looking forward to it. Frankly, it's my first season. I think we're in the game, but you never know, because there are going to be maybe 30, 40, 50 people from around the world come in, because the World Final consists of North America Challenge, European Challenge, and Asia Pacific Challenge. So they're going to be drivers from Japan to America and everywhere in between, including me being the only one from India. Let's see how it goes. We've got our fingers crossed. I think we should be somewhere, but it's really as good on the day because it's extremely competitive. I would reckon the top 20 guys would be in less than a second. That's my guess. I don't know, but knowing the way this racing championship is, so it's, you just got to be sharp, stay focused. I'm just staying relaxed, not doing any, hectic activity for the next 10 days because it's quite draining as well. So I'm just going to chill out.
There was a double victory at the Yas Marina. So a bit about that, please.
Yeah, this is the shakedown race, the NGK race, which is the shakedown race to the F1. We use this race more for track time because you get a lot of track time and you get some good experience in racing. It wasn't a very big grid, small grid, but yeah, I managed to win both the races. I think the first race was by 0.7 seconds and the second race was about 0.1. It was competitive while it lasted, very tiring, but I think it just prepares you. What I was more interested in just getting a bit of experience was on the rolling start because that's not too much of what I've done before. But it just prepares you on the rolling start. Now when I replay the videos that are there in kite, it just helps me prepare. Which gear, what speed, if I'm at 70 k's, if the rolling start is at 70 k's an hour, what gear do I need to be in? If it's at 90, what gear do I want to be in? These are variables. It's just, play it in your mind and prepare for it.
As somebody who always saw in his dad's Lou Park Avenue products, and let's talk about that side of the business, which is FMCG and JK Helene Curtis and Parks the brand, and then eventually Color Plus. Your vision for that and how the past has been.
Well, I think Park Avenue's come again a long way. It's now 25 years plus of that brand. Parks is now almost 10 years. I think all our brands have got a niche. All of them have got their space and all of them have a strategy. Eventually, coming from the Raymond Group, it's all about giving the best value for money, the best products at the best price. Raymond won't compromise on that ever as a group. And we're the only company probably in the world that gives you products from 150 rupees a meter to 300,000 rupees a meter under the same brand. No brand can actually do that and transcend. So if you see, even Nokia, after a point, had to come out with Vertu. Toyota had to come out with Lexus. Hotels have different brand segmentation. But here, the guy who's driving a taxi is as happy buying a Raymond product as Mr. Tata is, because he gets the same value. It depends on, even though, it's any price segment. And that's a tough thing to do, but we're very happy that we've done it, because it just shows that Raymond actually stands for only one word: it's trust.
And really, I mean, I swear by made-to-measure suits. All my suits are Raymond made-to-measure suits, and there must be another one of your special children in the company.
Yeah, well, made-to-measure was an experiment we started about 6-7 years ago. We took almost 5 years to sort of perfect the model, and having perfected it now, it's growing well. So, which is good. I'm happy.
I read a magazine article about how you and your lovely wife met. So I'd like you to recount that for the radio audience.
Oh, well, it was one drunken night at a nightclub called RG's, where it's rather late, and I was with a friend of mine, and I said, let's go home. I said, no, do you see that girl there? I'm going to go and meet her and marry her. He said, you're drunk, let's go home. I said, no. And the rest is history. So I went and introduced myself, and the rest is history.
She's so passionate about health and wellness and, her business interests. How healthy are you other than your racing? I mean, are you able to pick up some of her yoga, of her wellness?
Well, I try to stay fit. I know age is not on my side, so I do try and stay fit. I would like to find more time for fitness. But I found that at this age, you get injured very easily, you get tired very easily. Because I lead a life on the go. I'm always on the go, 24/7, and if I get time to rest, I find something to do in that time to rest. So it's tough, but yeah. So I hope that Jan 1 I will find a more regimented regime where I can, So if I go to Goa to rest for 2 days, my rest means I'm going to water ski and I'm going to jet ski and I'm going to swim, and I actually come back from Goa more tired than I went.
So what sign are the kids showing? More of Nawaz's genes or yourself? Is there a bit of driving, adrenaline rush there?
Well, they're too young, but yeah, they enjoy what my wife does from her art and stuff, and they have their own passions, and they both love my cars, so it works for me.
Last few questions. What's your favorite travel destination that you just go back and say, Gautam Singhania, I could just live here and not go anywhere? An exotic travel destination.
The best is home.
Is that Alibag or Mumbai?
Alibag, actually, for us, for us that's home, and that's really where we like to be.
What's your pet food? Something that you love to consume? Maybe a night out with your wife. What would you order?
I'm a simple food eater, very healthy. I had Caesar salad and I mixed half a bowl of soup for lunch. So I stay very light as far as possible. Also with my travels, I eat right. So I'm not a foodie.
And as far as cocktails are concerned, drinks are concerned, what do you enjoy?
I don't drink hard liquor. I gave up hard liquor maybe 12 years ago. I love my wine. I enjoy a good glass of wine, a couple of glasses of champagne or beer, but that's all I drink.
What about music? What kind of bands do you listen to? What kind of music are you into? Your pet musical passions?
Well, I listen a lot to music. It's one of my passions is listening to music. So ideally, if I'm sitting on a flight Bombay to London, I'll spend 6 hours listening to music. And actually listening, not hearing. I mean listening, where I'm doing nothing else but listening to the music. And I listen from lounge to retro to everything. Music is music, and then different music takes you in a different mood. I think music can change your mood. It can really get you into a good mood. And so it depends if I'm listening to retro, I'm listening to lounge, house, whatever. It depends on the mood.
How is Diwali's just gone by? Christmas and New Year's is coming up. How are festivals celebrated in the Singhania household?
Well, it's a relaxed time with family and friends, and you just got to balance it. Look for maybe I go to Goa for a couple of days, go into the jungle for a few days. Depends.
My last question is 90 years of Raymond. You're finishing 15 years as Chairman and Managing Director. Next year, your vision for the future and your thoughts on this wonderful brand which is synonymous with India's culture.
Well, life is a journey, not a destination. So one is on that journey. Just, enjoy every day for it. What's past is history and tomorrow is a mystery. The only thing that's real is now. So, enjoy the moment. We'll get there.
Thanks very much, Gautam Singhania.
Thank you very much. Thanks.